Alrighty. Hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. Welcome back to the Sleuth Intuition channel. I'm your host, Patrick Vallejos, and we are broadcasting to the world live from Phoenix, Arizona. Today we are diving into the Vallow Daybell Doomsday murders. I'm sure you guys are familiar with this case. It's pretty high profile. Let's go ahead and welcome in Mustang, Renegade, CJK, Mustang, and anybody else who might be lurking there in the chat. Good to see you guys. All right. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying your day. Everything's going well on my end. Welcome in, Hiawatha, Susan, and Miranda. Good to see you guys. How many of you are not familiar with this case? Maybe I can zoom in a little better. There we go. So, this is a timeline put out by CBS. It's not the best timeline, but I think because of time, I think it'll be the most appropriate for today's live stream. It's kind of more of a simplified timeline. I seen Keith Morrison's interview after he talked to her. She's a freak of nature. I mean, how would we classify her? Yeah, definitely sick and delusional. All right, let's just dive right in. So this is Lori and Charles Vallow, and this is their wedding picture, 2006. Everything seems fine. But this is going to be one twisted web of murder and lies. A lot of people fell victim to Lori and Chad. Okay, before all the notoriety, Lori married businessman Charles Vallow. Friends say it appeared to be a happy marriage. Together, the couple was raising Tylee Ryan, Lori's daughter from a previous marriage. So Lori and Charles Vallow, and this is very important, this timeline, because it all falls apart quickly over about the next 8 to 9 years. Okay, jump to 2014. JJ is adopted by the Vallows. And when I say adopted by the Vallows, I'm referring to Charles and Lori. Lori and Charles Vallow adopted JJ Vallow. He was the grandson of Charles' sister. JJ had autism, and April Raymond, who was Lori's friend, says Lori was patient and an ideal mother for him. So later on, we're going to watch police body cam footage of Lori explaining why she adopted JJ. She says that his biological mother and father were addicted to drugs, and they were better suited to raise him. And to those people who knew them, family friends say that Tylee embraced her role as a big sister, that Tylee even jokingly referred to JJ as her own child. So this is Tylee on the left, adopted JJ in the middle, and I'm assuming that is Lori. Good to see you, Renegade. Crazy biatch. Okay, now let's jump to 2017. Relatives say Lori Vallow's relationship with her children changed. Her friends say she had been reading the books of Doomsday author Chad Daybell. Daybell, who wrote several fiction books about preparing for the end of the world, lived outside Rexburg, Idaho. So Lori seemingly sought out Chad. You know, she somewhat idolized him. She was going through some strange spiritual changes in her life, and she seemed to be somewhat connected to Chad. Sometime in 2018, Lori Vallow met Chad Daybell. Lori Vallow's friend says there was a connection between the two and they began doing religious podcasts together. Daybell was also married. Together with his wife Tammy Daybell, he was raising 5 children. So these two meeting resulted in the death of a handful of people, innocent people. I mean, they did nothing wrong to anybody. Lori Vallow's friend Melanie Gibb would later say she heard Chad Daybell and Lori talking about zombies, people whose souls were replaced by dark spirits. Lori's former friend April Raymond told 48 Hours that Lori started referring to her husband Charles Vallow as a demon. "2019 seeking help." Now, we actually have this video, so some of these we're going to go directly to him. We're going to do that now. Absolutely, CJK. Well, I thought I had this video. See where I put it. There it is.
So is she in there?
Now, what you're watching right here is you're watching Lori's husband, Charles, before his death. And this is right around the time that Lori started acting very strange. And what he didn't know was secretly she was having an affair with Mr. Daybell.
What's going on? Why is she here and you're not here, or are you staying here with her?
Long story. She's had kind of a break from reality. She thinks you're LDS?
Yes.
She thinks she's married to Moroni in the past. This is her
You think she's what?
married to Moroni, the top of the temple.
Angel, LDS. Angel.
They don't let me in there.
Probation, and she knows when the second coming is happening next year. So does the prophet.
Okay.
He knows it. She knows about it. She meets with Moroni, Jesus Christ, face to face in the temple every day. I've tried to support her as much as I can.
So it sounds like she's having hallucinations, according to him. She's saying that she's married to Moroni, which is an angel that's talked about a lot. I think it was the angel that came to Joseph Smith and brought him a newer testament, the Latter-day Saints.
Could, but it's gotten really, really bad lately. She's had a break. She says, I'm Nick Schneider. I've taken over Charles's body, and Charles has been killed. I'm going to kill you. You're going to be murdered today or tomorrow. I can do it. I'm not going to with my priesthood, with my power. She does priesthood blessing. She does.
So who's Nick Snyder? Okay.
So Nick Snyder is the person who Lori thinks has taken over Charles. He's no longer Charles. It's a demon named Nick Snyder.
Okay. Right. Okay. So he's not at church. He's not.
She took my truck from the airport. So Becky took my truck from the airport last night when I flew in. She canceled my flight. I had to buy another ticket. Picked up back home. I've got a 6-year-old with special needs.
Right. And he's safe at school somewhere.
Charles did everything that he possibly could to ask for help, to cry for help. Nothing was provided to him, and eventually he was murdered.
Right. Okay. For now, if she knows I'm here, she's going to go get it.
Okay. What car? What is she driving?
A black Infiniti QX80.
And you've looked all through the parking lots.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Do you have the license plate on that?
It's KDM 62 or 63 or 67. It's handicapped. Okay?
How come the pin? There it is.
And I don't know where she put my truck.
Yeah, she stole his truck and hid all his belongings.
I mean, I thought she would do anything like this, but she's just lost touch with me. I'm not me. She yells. She's unhinged. It's scared the crap out of me.
Okay. Now, I'm assuming you guys have phones. Is that an iPhone?
Yes.
Are you able to track to see where her phone is right now?
Her phone's
Her
right here
iPhones.
today.
Okay, so that'll give you an idea of where we're at on the timeline. So that was on January 31st, 2019. Charles Vallow is seen on police body cam video telling officers his wife has become unhinged. 2019, Charles Vallow became very worried about Lori, and he went to the police with his concerns. He told them Lori believed that she was a god, preparing for the end of days. He also said Lori had threatened to murder him. February 2019, Charles Vallow's fears. Charles Vallow filed for a divorce from Lori. In court documents, Charles expressed that he feared for his and his children's safety. All right, 2019, a death investigation. Now you're seeing a screenshot from police body cam of Alex Cox. Alex Cox is Lori's brother. He kind of lives somewhat of a parasitic lifestyle. He goes where she goes. He does what she tells him, and she considers him her protector. So we'll go to this body cam footage now.
No weapon? No weapons on me. Come on out this way. Yep. Whenever you have a seat right here. Yes, sir.
Who else is in the house?
No one else in the house.
Okay, just have a seat right there. Let's get FD in.
Actually, I think we'll listen to the 911 call first. That might help explain. And that way we'll kind of keep moving in chronological order.
Emergency.
So this is the 911 call from Lori Vallow's brother. He had just shot Charles Vallow on July 11th, 2009.
It's at 5531 South Four Peaks.
You guys can hear that,
I
right?
think it's Four Peaks Lane. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, you say you don't know the direction?
I don't know the street name, if it's a lane or court.
It's 5531 East, though?
Yeah, or South Four Peaks.
5531 South Four Peaks in Chandler. Is that right?
Yes.
You need
Yes.
police or paramedics?
Both. I'm in police and an ambulance.
What's the emergency there?
I got in a fight with my brother-in-law and I shot him in self-defense.
He's very calm.
Okay, let me get the medics on the phone. And is he hurt or is he alive or
Yeah, there's blood. He's not moving.
how long ago did this happen?
A couple of minutes.
Fire department, what is the address of the emergency?
5531 South Four Peaks.
And is
What's up,
that a
Susan?
house in Chandler?
Yes.
And your phone number, please?
480-351-9120.
And just repeat the address to confirm it.
5531 South Four Peaks.
And what is the emergency?
I shot my brother-in-law.
Okay, what part of his body is injured?
In the chest.
I'm sorry, where?
In the chest.
Okay, is he awake and responsive or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, is he breathing?
I can't tell.
Okay, are you willing to go over to him and check?
Sure.
Okay, do you just let me know if you see his
Sure.
chest going up and down? How old is he?
It's not moving. He's 60.
Okay, and are you wanting to start
It's like
CPR?
nothing to him.
No, I don't know how to do that.
I can walk you through it.
Okay.
And what I want you to do is you're going to put one hand in the center of his chest.
Yeah.
The other hand's going to go right on top of it.
Okay.
You're going to interlock your fingers, keeping your arms straight, and you're going to press down hard and fast into his chest. You're going to go
Okay.
2 inches down and fairly quickly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
I think he knows
10.
he's already
Making sure
dead.
his chest goes up between each compression.
He's just going through the motions.
Where's the
Okay.
gun now?
It's in the other room.
Okay. PD, we're going to stage for you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just keep going with those compressions. PD, did you have any other questions?
Yes, what's your name, sir?
My name is Alex. Last name is Cox. C-O-X.
And where are you in the house now?
In the living room.
Where is the gun?
It's in a bedroom.
Who
Now,
else is
Alex
there in
is
the
going to
house?
play a key role in
Just me.
everything that plays out later on. He's a big part of this story.
What gun is it? Was it
It's my gun. It's a 45.
a pistol? 45 caliber pistol?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's his name, your brother-in-law?
Charles Vallow.
His last name, I'm sorry.
What's up, D?
V-A-L-L-O. Vallow.
V like Victor or G like George?
V like Victor.
Okay.
What kind of question is that?
Well, police and medics are on the way to help you.
Thank you.
Are you still doing what, chest compressions with him?
Yes.
Okay, just keep pushing down hard and fast in the center of his chest.
Now, side note, Alex is very much, they keep referring to him as preppers, but he's more of a doomsdayer. Him and his sister Lori were both fans of Chad Daybell's Doomsday books. So he's very into this whole end of the world as well.
How long ago did this occur? Did it just happen?
Yeah, maybe 5 minutes before I called.
Okay. Just make sure you're still pressing down at least 2 inches into his chest, and it comes up with each compression. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, so we have the 911 call. And shortly, actually during this call, you're going to have Chandler police show up.
No weapons? No weapons on. Come on out this way. Yep. Whatever you have a seat right here. Yes, sir.
Who else
Yeah,
is in the
I
house?
wouldn't doubt it, Susan.
Okay, just have a seat
He's
right
like,
there.
I'm not touching
Let's
this
get
guy.
FD in here. Have a seat.
All right, Chandler police showing up now.
You have some ID on you, sir?
So that is Alex Cox sitting on the sidewalk there. He's just shot Mr. Vallow in the chest, claiming self-defense. and that his sister and children were nowhere around when it happened, which ends up being a lie.
What happened today? How did it get to this?
What's up, Justice?
I don't know. He was enraged.
What's going on? What happened?
Well, he was talking with my sister earlier.
No, what happened today, though? Like, just in the last 20 minutes.
He came at me with a bat.
Okay. Was he living here or
No.
visiting?
He came to pick up his son.
Okay, is the son inside?
No. My sister took him to school.
Okay, so it was just you at the house?
Yes.
And he came, how long, what time did he come to pick up the son?
I don't know, 20 minutes ago maybe.
Okay, so you know who he is, let him in?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think they were talking earlier, then she left, and then he got into it with me.
Like what? What do you mean?
I don't know. He was accusing me of...
Come on over here. That truck's going to be really loud. What was he accusing you of?
He was just yelling at me.
Okay. What was he yelling at you about?
About my sister because I've broken up a tussle with them earlier. And he told me not to interfere anymore with them or I'd pay. And he came at me with a bat.
Okay, so he showed up in the house with a bat in his hand?
No.
Okay, so
There was a scuffle earlier with my sister and my niece. My niece got involved.
about earlier meaning earlier this week, earlier
No,
this morning,
just this morning before they left.
before your wife left,
My sister.
before your sister left.
Yeah.
Okay, who lives here with you?
Nobody. I don't live here. My sister lives here and my niece lives here.
And you're just visiting?
I was visiting for the night.
Okay, so you're over here visiting your sister and your
Yes.
niece.
Yes.
Okay, and there was a tussle between your sister and her husband.
Yes.
And does the husband live here or no?
No.
Okay. Okay, is he an ex-husband or just current husband?
They're working on that.
Gotcha. So at some point earlier today, they get into some type of domestic?
Yeah, just this morning, then they left, and then he came at me.
They left meaning who? Both of parties? Or-
Yeah, my sister took my niece and my nephew.
Okay, so they left.
Create some space for him, and then he came at me.
Okay, but did he leave also?
No.
He stayed here.
He stayed.
So you guys are kind of talking in between or what? Who are you? Who are you? No, just go back. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Like, no thanks, bro. Get the fuck out of
So
here.
it's just you and your brother-in-law.
Yes.
Okay.
Go back over there where you
Kinda
came from.
Go through it.
So-
Say something like, "Hey, don't
Nosy
touch my sister,"
neighbors.
or-
Yeah. So
What-
yeah.
okay.
And then he picked up the bat
Where was the bat at?
in the living room.
Okay.
Inside me.
No, I haven't got it.
So this just kind of goes on for another 3.5 minutes. Let's jump to his interview. So shortly after this, they take him to the police station. Let's watch that.
Thanks for your patience.
Okay, so this is going to be Lori Vallow's brother interviewed by Chandler Police Department.
All right, so
It's fun staring at nothing.
just want to kind of go back to a couple things real quick.
Yep.
Your sister had mentioned something kind of historically. I guess she said she just recently moved back. She went to Houston or somewhere, and then recently moved back about 3 weeks ago. She was saying something about Charles texting your other brother. Is it Andy? Adam? Do you know anything about that? Okay.
No.
Okay, now Lori later is going to accuse her other brother that he just mentioned of conspiring with Charles Vallow, who was just murdered by Alex here, to kill her for insurance money, for life insurance money. All a lie.
So I'll kind of walk through an order.
Sure.
When the argument initially came your way, you said you were on the phone?
No.
Oh, okay, you were just in the room?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said you were on the phone.
No.
So you weren't on the phone with anybody?
No, my phone was in that room.
Okay, your phone was in the room, so were you?
Yeah.
And then they came your way?
Yeah.
And then you're not sure where Lori and Tylee were when you came back?
When I came back out, that's correct.
Okay. Where was your gun at in the room?
It was in my bag in a case at the foot of the bed, so the bed was here.
Yeah, that's not going to work,
Case.
Susan. I don't think.
Inside like a duffel bag or something?
Yeah, it was like a zip, yeah, a little orange bag.
Okay.
And then my case was in there.
Okay, is it the hard
Absolutely,
Yeah,
dude.
the hard plastic with the foam and the extra.
Yeah, you need a post-it board with a bunch of red twine kind of going back and forth. But I do have a family tree that'll help.
Clips and everything.
Okay. Is there a reason you spent the night there last night?
No, not really.
Okay.
Just hang out. We were going to hang out today.
Okay. Did your sister ever tell you she was concerned for her safety or well-being for Charles coming there?
No,
Okay.
but watching him interact with her, I was.
Okay. So, do you normally carry a gun with you?
Yeah.
Okay. But you didn't have it on your person during this?
No.
Okay. When we talked about Tylee basically having the bat, Charles taking the bat away from Tylee, you said there was a struggle after that.
Yeah.
What happened? I mean,
I grabbed him from behind.
Okay.
And then we went to the ground. And then we separated and he hit me. And then that's when I left.
Okay. So you grabbed him from behind.
Yeah.
And how come you grabbed him from behind?
Because he was in front of me and he was going after Tylee with the bat.
What was he doing with the bat?
He just grabbed it from her and then I jumped in. I don't know what he was doing with it.
So he was going after Tylee with
Yes,
the bat.
yes.
And you grabbed him from behind,
Yes.
around the neck or?
Or over the shoulder like this.
Okay. You grabbed him from behind.
Yeah.
You pulled him back and you guys
I
both
pulled it
went
back
to
and
the
we both
ground.
went to the ground, yeah.
Okay. Did you see him swing the bat at you?
No.
Okay. So you pulled him to the ground, you got back up.
I got back up. He hit me in the back of the head. I don't know if it was with the bat or not. I assumed it was.
Okay.
Because he had it.
Okay. So he hit you at the back of the head.
Yeah.
And you go to the room.
Yeah.
Okay. And you don't know where Lori or Tylee are when you go back to the room.
Correct.
Okay. You come back from the room.
Yeah.
And you basically get you initial or mark kind of here on this corner.
Yeah.
That you're
What's up,
basically at
Boston?
the corner of the living room.
Well, this is a hallway here, so there's like a wall here that divides the kitchen.
Okay.
So I'm somewhere in this area.
Okay. And he's in the living room.
Yes.
And he still has the bat.
Yes.
Is he now focused at you or
Yes.
is he focused at Lori?
I think this
or
is all
Me,
bullshit.
He's
Right?
yelling at me and he moves towards me.
What was he saying to you? Do you remember?
Not really.
Okay.
I just remember yelling.
Okay.
And then I was watching more body language. And when someone aggressively comes at you,
Okay. Are you, do you have your CCW?
Yeah.
Okay. So so he's basically coming at you and he's yelling, you're watching his body language.
yeah,
And you said you told him, and I didn't, when we're talking, I'm trying to not take notes and listen to what you're saying.
I'm trying to calm the situation.
Okay.
I'm gonna drop your bat, and he's fuck you and whatever
Okay.
coming at me. And
Did you ever tell him to leave, or did you say drop the bat, or?
first I just said drop it.
See, he originally told the first responders that Tylee was under threat of Charles, or that Charles was lunging at somebody. Or no, earlier he said that Lori and the kids left, and that he wanted to separate them from the situation, and he was going to let Charles cool down. And then that's when they got into a fight. But now during the interrogation, he's saying that Charles lunged at one of the children and that he tackled him to protect her. So both can't be true, right?
Yeah,
Okay. And then did you say anything else after that?
I didn't have time.
Okay.
CCW is a concealed carry permit. At this time, you needed them in Arizona. Right now, you don't. You can just conceal carry now legally without it. So it's basically a concealed license.
So he came after you with the bat.
Yep.
He's kind of holding it in his
I got
hand.
his right hand.
Okay. You fire a couple times.
Yep,
And then you go to the kitchen
correct.
and then back to the bedroom.
Yes.
Okay.
He cleaned
When
his
you went
hands
back to the
too.
bedroom, you washed your hands.
No, I'm watching.
Or I'm sorry, you washed your hands in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You put your gun back in your room.
Yep.
Where'd you set it at?
Just on the floor.
Okay. So you
Why
set
would
it
he
on the
wash
floor,
his hands?
Get your phone.
Yep.
Call 911.
Yep.
And then when did you realize Lori had gone? Did you call her?
No.
Okay. So you called 911. Did you have to do CPR on him?
I did.
Okay.
I tried.
Okay. But you weren't on the, I must have mistaken you. I thought you said you were on the phone when
Oh, yeah, no.
did you hear them arguing about his phone?
I don't. All I heard was her say, "Don't touch me," and then him coming right after her.
Okay. You said that a couple months ago.
Now, keep in mind, Lori has stolen Charles's truck. She has taken all of his things and hidden them. He has no clue. He doesn't have his vehicle. He's in a rental.
Tylee was at your house, and he came over. What happened? Tell me a little bit more about that.
He was going insane trying to locate Lori because Lori wasn't talking to him.
Okay.
They had split up. So he was bugging everybody in the family, blowing up their emails, phone, just sending text messages, just anything he could do to try and get somebody to tell Lori to contact him. So he was just spazzing out. So Tylee and I were pulling up to my house, and he followed us, and then he sped up and blocked my driveway, and he got out and ran up to me real aggressively like he was going to do.
One thing to keep a note of is that he is the suspected killer of his own nephew and niece. Tylee and JJ, they believe he's the one that's responsible for it, or that he's being set up.
Something, and he just stopped and talked, and then Tylee got out.
I think he's the one that killed him.
And then that lasted.
Just the fact that he's just so calm and he's able to remain calm, cool, and collected after doing something like this probably tells me that he's a psychopath.
I don't know, 15 minutes in the front.
Okay.
A lot of screaming at Tylee at
it's his body
Charles,
language.
and Charles trying to leave and her not letting him because she wanted to get everything out that was bothering her.
Okay. So he didn't go after Tylee at that time?
Physically, he did not do anything.
Have you spent a lot of time around Charles?
Yeah.
Is he hot-headed?
Not normally.
Okay. So have you ever, besides the argument between him and Tylee, have you ever seen him like you saw him today?
No.
Okay.
No.
How would you describe him today?
Very aggressive.
Okay.
Well, Lori drove him crazy. She basically drove him to the point of going mad. This is the product of what she's done to Charles, and then they kill him. So from everything that I've gathered, he was a good man. He treated her well. He was good to the kids. He was good, to his community. And she basically drove him to madness and then had her brother kill him.
Physically aggressive, going out.
Because she was in love with Mr. Doomsday, Chad Daybell. They were secretly meeting. She was traveling to be closer to Chad. And Alex here was just following along, just following her like a lost puppy.
After Tylee, going after Lori, going after me.
Okay.
I've never seen anything like
that. Yep, I think you're right, D-Mart. I think you're right.
Okay. How long have they been together?
15 years, maybe?
Okay.
Oh, a good while.
And did they live here before?
Yeah, they lived here a couple times.
Okay.
They lived here. They lived in Austin. Then they moved. And they moved to Chandler. And they moved to Hawaii. And they moved back here. And then I think they split up. And then she went to live with me in Houston for 2 months, and I wasn't working out. So then she came back here and got a place.
Okay.
And then he had just come back out here.
And he got a place, or she came back out here and got a place. How long ago was that?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Within 2 months.
Okay, so the last couple months. But she never said anything about having you come over because she didn't feel safe with him or because he was showing up or anything like that? Okay.
No, but that's absolutely what happened. They planned this murder. And they went through with it. Now, before Chad Daybell even met Lori, he was married to a woman named Tammy. She seems like a lovely person. She was very religious as well. And she was very understanding and patient with Chad's Doomsday obsession. So on the outside, they look like your everyday couple, smiling, healthy. So Tammy was a lot like Charles. They knew something was wrong. Tammy knew something was wrong with Chad, and Charles knew something was wrong with Lori.
Days before she died, the suspicious circumstances also that led to her death, and how much she knew about Chad's dark and light ranking of people and spirits. Daybell is on trial for murdering his previous wife and Lori Vallow's 2 children, Tylee and JJ.
Lori Vallow was found guilty of these murders last year. True crime correspondent Brianna Whitney has been following this very high-profile trial for us.
Each day we learn a lot more, and it is all so bizarre. But what makes this case so difficult is a lot of testimony revolves around the internet search history and actions of Lori Vallow's brother, Alex Cox, who was believed to be
think you're right,
involved
Susan.
in trying to kill these victims. But he is dead too. So the prosecution
They had
must
5
prove
kids, too.
Chad Daybell knew and planned what was carried out by Cox before he died, and that it was all premeditated murder of his wife and Lori's 2 kids.
He was all dressed in black and he had a ski mask on.
October 9th, 2019, the 911 call from Tammy Daybell herself.
And then he just kept doing it. So I yelled for my husband and then he took off running around the back of my house.
An attempted shooting at the Daybell home, though at the time, Tammy thought the shooter had a different kind of gun,
What's up, Curious?
detailing the fear she had in an email.
The guy started pulling the trigger and I could hear the clicking and whooshing sound of an empty paintball gun.
That's Fremont County Detective Vince Kayakamanu, who was on the stand much of Thursday. He testified about the days leading up to, during, and after that attempted shooting on Tammy Daybell's life. The detective says the day of that shooting, Alex Cox had an interesting search history.
He searches just different uppers for ARs, muzzle energy brake of a 6.5 Grendel, and frog sizing of frog tog pants.
But that shooting didn't work.
The next day, he is searching if an AR functions in cold weather, how an AR functions in cold weather.
So he's trying to make adjustments. So her being innocent, she sees a guy kind of dressed up in a ski mask and a weird rifle, right? Because it had a large scope on it. In her mind, this is just some paintball guy. Remember, our brains play tricks. You know, our minds play tricks with us to try to justify the unbelievable things that we're witnessing. For her, there's no way that there's a hitman trying to take her life, but instead it's a guy in the middle of the night playing paintball.
Hornady one shot, shooting in cold weather.
And the reason he failed was because of the cold weather. So now he's trying to figure out what he needs to do, what adjustments to make so that he can be successful in taking her life.
Also had to prep your AR to shoot in cold weather.
In court, a picture shown of the Grendel AR-15 rifle found in Cox's apartment. They revealed between October 7th and 15th, Cox visited a gun range 5 times.
I mean, that thing is just ridiculous. I mean, why does he have the scope on there? I mean, all of it just doesn't make any sense. That's kind of why I did this thumbnail the way that I did. Because if you didn't know any better, you know, that scope is ridiculous for that rifle. You're going to think it's a paintball gun. Especially if you've had experience with paintball guns, you might think that this is the top of a paintball gun where you actually, put the paintballs in. So it makes sense.
On October 19th, Tammy Daybell died. Both Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell's doomsday beliefs have revolved around dark and light spirits. Those who have died considered dark spirits. In today's testimony, the detective talks about messages he read between the Daybell family, both Chad and Tammy, and their kids. They discuss clearing their son, Mark Daybell, of a dark spirit and how they identified 12-year-olds at Sunday school who were dark spirits.
Jeez.
Chad and Lori believe that JJ Vallow and Tylee Ryan had become dark, a factor leading to their deaths. But the defense using the Daybell family conversations to show Tammy Daybell was aware of Chad's teachings.
You came to the conclusion that the Daybell, Tammy Daybell, Chad Daybell, and his 5 children had knowledge of the belief in light and dark people.
The trial continues tomorrow. If
Sounds like Helter Skelter. So this is what she thought she was seeing, when really it was most likely Alex Cox holding this rifle, and for whatever reason it misfired. I'm assuming he didn't know how to put it together. I mean, it looks like a Frankenstein. Yeah, the dude's weird. Right? If you notice this part of the paintball gun, she's obviously confusing it with this large scope. And her thinking that she's hearing, an empty paintball gun is really the gun misfiring. It's him trying to fire the weapon, but for whatever reason, it's not firing. I'm assuming he didn't put it together very well. Here's the actual rifle. I mean, I don't even know what I'm looking at here. I don't know if this is a threaded barrel. Maybe he had a silencer on it at one point. The buttstock looks like it belongs on a different kind of a rifle. Not sure why he has such a large scope on this thing, but I mean, it just looks ridiculous. Not quite sure what's going on with that rifle, but I'm assuming this is what she saw a masked man holding, was this rifle here, and she just was simply mistaken. Okay, Charles Vallow went to the house where Lori Vallow was living with the children in Chandler, Arizona. Charles was supposed to drop their son JJ off at school, but when he went inside the home, Charles was shot dead by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Cox told police that Lori and Charles got into a fight. Alex claimed that he was protecting his sister and shot Charles in self-defense. Lori and Tylee, who both say they heard the shooting, told similar stories of self-defense. And they probably manipulated Tylee, and that could be the reason that they eventually killed her. Because she knew what happened. Lori Vallow moved closer. September 2019, Lori Vallow moved closer to Chad Daybell. She relocated her kids to Rexburg, Idaho. Lori's brother, Alex Cox, moved into the same apartment complex. So here comes Alex following along. So Charles died July 11th, 2019. Just February 20th of 2022, or excuse me, of 2020, Lori and Chad are married. So, I mean, she didn't even wait very long before she married Chad. She was already seeing him. And instead of just divorcing their loved ones, they came up with this plan to eliminate them using this psychopath right here in the back of this photograph as their weapon to accomplish that. September 8th, 2019, Tylee Ryan vanishes. Lori Vallow, Tylee, JJ and Alex Cox went to Yellowstone National Park. Police say this is where the last known photo of Tylee was taken before she vanished. Melanie Gibb has said that Lori had referred to Tylee as a zombie. So last photo ever taken of them, and look who's with them. He's the prime suspect in their murder. The morning after Tylee Ryan disappeared, investigators say that Alex Cox's cell phone GPS placed him in Chad Daybell's backyard on the property for about 2 hours. About 14 minutes after Cox's GPS showed him leaving the property, Chad Daybell texted his wife, Tammy Daybell. The text read, "I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery." So that would explain if anybody heard a gunshot. That would also explain why there was digging in the pet cemetery, and that's ultimately where they found Tylee's body. September 22nd, 2019, JJ Vallow disappears. Police say JJ Vallow was last seen on September 22nd, 2019. Melanie Gibbs says that she and her boyfriend David Warwick were staying with Lori Vallow in Rexburg that weekend. On the night of September 22nd, Warwick says he saw Alex Cox carry JJ into Lori's apartment. But the next morning, according to Warwick, when he asked to see JJ, Lori reportedly told him that JJ was being a zombie and that Cox had to take him away. And eventually he ended up near the pet cemetery as well. September 23rd, 2019, the day after JJ was last seen, investigators say Alex Cox's cell phone showed that Cox returned to Chad Daybell's backyard. This time Cox was there for only 17 minutes. So we know what he was doing. He went back there to bury JJ. Yeah, that gun is a mess. Yeah, this is a very intricate case. There's a lot of ins and outs. Boston, good to see you. Tylee was so pretty, naturally beautiful, that made Elle go nuts. So I can see Elle doing it with ease. Why they're getting so ugly in front of our eyes is evil. I think brother didn't want to do it again. I don't know. I think he was just as crazy as they were. With Lori Vallow's children's whereabouts unknown, tragedy struck Chad Daybell's family. Daybell's wife, Tammy Daybell, died. The couple's son, Garth Daybell, said that Tammy died in bed and that he and Chad called 911. The Daybell children told 48 Hours they declined an autopsy. They said the coroner told them Tammy's death appeared to be of natural causes. They believe that because they say their mom was in ill health prior to her death. Okay, let's focus in on Tammy a bit. Well, actually, I think you guys get what happened with Tammy. Yeah, it's very confusing. Maybe we should jump over to who was Chad Daybell. This is a really good article. There we go. We'll zoom in on that. Okay, who is Chad Daybell? It's by Larry D. Curtis. Chad Guy Daybell, 55 at the time of his trial, is accused of first-degree murder of his first wife, Tammy Douglas Daybell, and the children of his second wife, Lori Vallow Daybell. He has pleaded not guilty. He was transferred to Ada County Jail shortly before his trial in April of 2024. Lori Vallow Daybell was found guilty on each of the 6 counts she was facing related to a trio of killings that captured national attention from small-town Rexburg, Idaho. What's up, J-Ray? The remains of the children, Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, were found on his property on June 9th, 2020. He was arrested that day and was initially charged with conspiracy to commit murder. In the deaths of the children, with first-degree murder charges coming later after he was in custody. Tylee was 17 years old and J.J. was 7 when they were killed. Vallow Daybell's brother Alex Cox was with Tylee in Yellowstone the day before he visited Daybell's property where her remains were later found. Daybell was born in Provo, Utah on August 11, 1968 and grew up in Springville, Utah, graduating from Springville High School and then Brigham Young University after studying communication. Daybell and his brothers were profiled by the Deseret News in 1992 for their jobs digging graves in Springville Cemetery, where Daybell was later a sexton. Red flags? He was profiled for that career choice too, listing his duties as caretaker of the cemetery in proximity of the Halloween holiday. Sad times are always when you have to bury babies, Daybell said while talking to a reporter in 2001. That's always a poignant moment. Springville employment records detail several stints working in the city's cemetery before he resigned in 2014. His family moved to Idaho in 2015. I'm always leery of people who work in cemeteries. You never wonder if, I always wonder if they're burying people there and then burying people's loved ones on top of people's bodies that they've hidden in the cemetery, kind of like the movie Mr. Brooks. A college writer, Daybell published a book about his cemetery experiences called One Foot in the Grave, but also wrote personal memoirs that included what he called his near-death experiences. He also wrote a series of books about the end times for a religious audience and was prominent enough writer and podcaster to be called one of 15 amazing speakers at a 2-day conference in St. George. His self-published titles were still available on Amazon as of April 3rd. I think I bookmarked some of his books here. Let's I think this is one of them here, titled Evading Babylon, Times of Turmoil book. The official website of author Chad Daybell, Evading Babylon. There's the book cover there. Go ye out from Babylon, gather ye out from among the nations. In the near future, the world as we know it will suddenly change. Natural disasters will lead to economic difficulties, leaving the United States on the edge of collapse. During this time of strife, members of the LDS Church will be invited by their leaders to survive the civil unrest by gathering to holy refuges. In the midst of the turmoil, recently returned missionary Nathan Foster joins a secret team of men who help the saints escape modern society's implosion. Nathan is expected to devote all of his time and energy to this cause, but he faces a major personal obstacle in doing so. Sounds like a winner. Okay, it looks like I got the wedding days wrong. So it was November 5th, 2019. So they married the same year that Charles passed away, which is a telltale sign. So roughly 2 weeks later, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell got married on a beach in Hawaii. Later that month, JJ's grandmother, Kay Woodcock, asked police to check on JJ's welfare. Woodcock said that she was concerned and hadn't heard from JJ in months. So I think I have the body cam for that visit, that welfare check as well. Yep, here it is.
My brother's here.
Hello.
Speaking.
So, we're here.
Wow, this is a big mess. I just talked to the guy on the phone.
And what did he ask you?
He was just saying that he wanted to do a well check on JJ.
So, JJ would be where?
He's in Arizona.
Who's he with in Arizona?
He's with one of my friends in Arizona.
Oh. Oh, you got a notepad?
No? Oh, you want?
No. Come here.
So I want you guys to realize that JJ is not living at this moment in time. He has been dead for some time. And the way that she's able to lie to law enforcement and to go on with her life, this is how people are able to hide in plain sight. Here's the perfect example of it. It's because they just don't care.
Mike, he comes in.
Oh.
So,
Sorry.
who's the friend he's with?
My friend Melanie. Her son has autism. Her name's Melanie Gibb. I gave him all the information on the phone.
Okay, so he can call him?
Yeah.
Perfect. This part.
Yeah. What is all this?
We're a little
What is it?
concerned
Right.
because, well, the officers who were
And then here's the gaslighting. Hey, what's all this? Like, what are you guys doing here? This is excessive. In the meantime, she's already conspired to kill multiple people and has accomplished 3 out of the 5.
earlier.
Yeah.
Were checking, and they got a bad vibe that like something was going on here because nobody knew anything about a child. They weren't talking.
It's because a lot of stuff that was going on. If you want to know, it's a lot of stuff. So.
Well, that's why we're concerned because it just was kind of weird.
It is very weird. I've had to move around a lot. One of my brothers is trying to kill me. Not the brother that lives here, obviously. He's kind of my protector. My other brother was in with my husband who was trying to kill me for my $2 million life insurance policy. No. So a lot of stuff has gone on in this last year. It's been a horrible year for us. I've had to move around. And so I was going to move back to Arizona, put my son back into the school there because I tried to put him in school here, public school at Kennedy.
Okay.
He went for 2 months. We tried it, but he had such a hard time. Now, the person who called is my
Absolutely, Boston.
sister-in-law.
What's up,
But
Misty?
she's his natural grandmother. He's adopted by us. Okay, so her son, who's a drug addict, had a baby with a girl who's a drug addict, and they took him from, CPS took him.
Okay.
Gave him to the grandmother. She came and got him, and then she wanted us to adopt him, which we did. And we loved him.
By
and
us.
my husband and I, who
Is dead.
died earlier this year. Okay. He passed away. Since he passed away,
He didn't pass away. He was
she's
murdered.
been trying to fight me for him and being really horrible to me and that kind of stuff. She's kind of the paternal friend.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that make sense?
That's what I meant. The paternal grandmother.
And he has autism and ADHD. He doesn't really talk to people. Like he's very special needs. So I had him in a special needs school there. She was trying to. So what
They're
happened
dead.
was
They're not living
my
anymore.
husband, who we were married for 15 years and had raised all these 5 kids together, switched his life insurance policy to her, right? To his sister, who got $1 million when he died. And we got nothing. For me to raise JJ, and all the kids got nothing, and everybody got nothing. She got $1 million. So
I knew she was going to try to sue me for him, or yeah, because she now has this $1 million, so she can hire people to help him, and I have nothing.
But you have legal custody.
He's my son. I adopted him when he was 2 years. We had him from the time he was 8 months old.
She
till
wanted
2
that
years old.
money. She
She
thought
does
she was
nothing
getting that
else to
money.
cause me trouble. So I don't tell people the truth about where we are and what we're doing because of those reasons. So I look like a suspect, but I am not a good person. Raised all of my kids. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do in life, but everyone is causing me trouble right now. So
Okay, so do you guys now are you starting to see when I say the manipulation from these type of people, the way they've mastered the art of manipulation? They go right into character. It's just so natural. They're empaths. They're feeding off your energy and they're matching it. They know that they need to create this facade of innocence, or else it's going to create red flags. They know first off what the red flags are and that they need to hide them, and then secondly, it comes easy to them because they don't have any emotions. They're suffering from psychopathy. But this is a perfect example of why you can't trust anybody, because if you didn't know any better, she's getting over on all of these seasoned professional investigators with the power of manipulation, because everybody's susceptible to it if you're not careful.
We don't want to cause a lot of trouble. How long have you been here?
we only been here since September.
The tone of voice and everything.
We moved up here in September. My daughter goes to BYUI.
Your daughter goes to BYU?
Yeah.
Does she live here?
So we just it's
Absolutely,
been a nightmare,
D-Mart.
but
Absolutely.
I'm gonna go back to Arizona so I can put him back into special needs school. He couldn't do the school here. It was too hard for him. He would scream and cry, take him to school. The principal would have to come out, try to drag him out of the car. Like it just was too hard. But I just don't tell people where I am. I don't tell her where I am ever. And she doesn't have any legal rights to anything. Like she's been horrible to me since my husband died.
My understanding, she never called you to try to get the child, you know, hey, I'm interested in the child back, you know, but
I
that.
know, but she sends me these emails with like,
Okay, now I want you to look at this investigator's spider senses when she mentions Chad Daybell's full name. His instincts start going crazy.
the date and like she's putting up court stuff, you know, like she's documenting. I haven't heard from him in all this time, and so I've told her that he's fine. But
See, and we hadn't heard any of that as far as,
I'm just saying she's doing this as part of that. Is my understanding.
and our only concern in this whole thing
Yeah, it's like he's fine.
is the child.
I got it.
And so that's
Who
where
is
we're
deceased.
at on the, and then
So
we
I
were just a
called
little weirded out when, you know, and I understand now that we've heard.
So the child's deceased and buried in Chad Daybell's pet cemetery. And the person who's most likely responsible for it is in this home now, somewhere in the back room.
Your side of the story.
It's awful. They just I feel like I'm being tracked all the time. I'm like, why are police coming to my car? What did I do?
They said they were out visiting two guys, and I'm assuming one's your brother.
Yeah.
Who was the other one?
See?
The other guy they were visiting.
He's curious.
Well, we had two detectives over here trying to
looking for you a little while ago.
Oh, because I was at the store.
and they ran into
She don't want to say.
probably one of your brothers.
My brother and his friend, probably.
Oh, his
Then
friend.
me, Chad.
You see, this is the manipulation. It just comes so natural. She's not admitting that she's having a sexual relationship, that that's her love interest, that that's her friend. She says, no, that's my brother's friend, Chad.
Chad from Rapid. What's his last name? Yeah. Okay.
She said, Daybell.
It's just a mess. Like, just constantly causing me trouble.
Look at his face.
Chad the DA.
Okay. I want you to see the look on a great detective's face when things just start to make sense. Look at this look on his face.
It's just a mess. Like, just constantly causing me trouble.
See it?
Chad the DAYBELL.
He's an author.
He's like, wait a minute.
Doesn't he
He's
live
like, something's not right.
He's not the Chad DeBell that. His wife passed away recently.
See? It's just coming together in his mind.
I don't know.
That intuition.
D-A-Y-B. Yeah.
But it sounds familiar as an author.
I think I know one of these.
And now pay
She's got
attention
a
to her.
couple of
She's not gonna. She doesn't want to give them
She has lots
anything,
of
but she
kids.
can't help it.
Okay. I'll bet say.
She wants to
All right.
brag.
What? You need anything else? Sorry to bother you.
Thank you.
We don't mean to be a
I'm
problem.
sorry that people are constantly knocking on my door, looking for me, and I just don't want to be found. So
Have you had problems? 'Cause I think you only had.
the reason I'm moving is because the brother that was going to kill me, that we found emails and texts with my husband at the time, he was showing up here, so he found out where it was, and he was knocking on my door.
No, this was your brother?
One of my brothers.
He showed up here and was knocking on your door.
He lives in Kansas.
Complete lie.
And you said something about you were getting threatening emails?
Well, no, just after my husband passed, I found emails and texts between them that they were planning all this stuff to get rid of me.
Do we need to worry about him coming over?
Well, that's why I'm moving back. I'm moving, and I'm not going to be in a place. I'm going to live with my friend, Melanie. Don't tell anybody her name, Dib, because I don't want anything in my name.
Zanny the nanny.
Apartment in my name. But I've been staying over here with my brother because he protects me.
Okay.
He's very protective of me, so.
Just another manipulative piece of shit.
Take care of it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I just it's just a nightmare. I mean, I canceled the insurance policy because my husband passed, so there's no money. Ridiculous.
She learned from him. So hopefully this is kind of creating kind of explaining what the hell's going on with these people. Okay, Rexburg police went to Lori Vallow Daybell's house looking for JJ. Police say Vallow Daybell lied to them, claiming that JJ was safe and staying in Arizona with her friend Melanie Gibb. At first, Gibb was forthcoming about JJ's whereabouts, but later called police and told them JJ hadn't been with her. While Rexburg police attempted to locate JJ, investigators soon realized that his sister Tylee Ryan was also missing and launched a nationwide search for the children. December 2019, while investigators searched for the missing children, Lori and Chad Daybell traveled back to Hawaii. So the kids are missing. They traveled to Hawaii. In December of 2019, Fremont County Sheriff's investigators grew suspicious about Tammy Daybell's death. They exhumed her body to conduct an autopsy. That same month, Lori's brother Alex Cox died in Arizona. It was determined he died of natural causes. Okay, now this is a very suspicious part. So they decided to exhume Tammy Daybell's body December the 11th, 2009. Alex Cox dies of quote-unquote natural causes. Basically, they determined it was blood clots. The very next day. I mean, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it. And there have been cases of people who are prone to heart disease and getting blood clots who are assaulted, and it triggers this kind of a death. So I don't know. I think that he was murdered and they were able to do it and make it appear that it was natural. Yep, creating confusion and chaos. So he's the main suspect in the death of Tammy Daybell. They exhume her body and the next day he dies. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anything more suspicious than that. January 25th, 2020, authorities served Lori Vallow Daybell an order requiring her to produce her children. February 20th, 2020, she's arrested. After failing to comply, Lori Vallow Daybell was arrested in Hawaii. 2 weeks later, she was extradited to Idaho. June 9th, 2020, they serve a search warrant on Chad Daybell's backyard. I might have some drone footage of that. At least I should. Yeah, there's no way it was natural causes. I'm going to tell you that right now. He was murdered. So over where they're looking is the pet cemetery. So this area of interest right there is where she was buried. And I think they found JJ somewhere over here. So what he did was he dismembered Lori's daughter. He then burned her in this fire pit and then buried her right here in the pet cemetery. Because she was a zombie. Okay, we are running out of time, so I'm going to play a few videos here. They should probably close up some of these gaps that we've left in here in the timeline.
Chad Guy Daybell was born in 1968 in Provo, Utah. He graduated from BYU. In 1990, he married Tammy. Together, Chad and Tammy Daybell had 5 children. In 2004, Chad and Tammy started a publishing company called the Spring Creek Book Company. Chad wrote and published more than 20 books. In 2015, the Daybell family moved to eastern Idaho. Chad continued to write books.
I think I have that. Let's take a look at that. I think I bookmarked that. Spring Creek Book Company. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. So Tammy and Chad, before Lori came in to the picture, created the Spring Creek Book Company together. And it's still up. Latter-day Saint literature. Different books. This one's from Chad Daybell, The Prophet of Palmyra. How would you respond to the gospel message if you lived in the days of Joseph Smith? Here is your chance to find out. It is March 26th, 1830, and you have recently moved with your family to Palmyra, New York. As you sit on the bench along Palmyra's main street, you pick up a newspaper and read about a new book that has just been published called The Book of Mormon. It's got like a weird cover.
Primarily focused on religion, while Tammy worked in local schools. In the fall of 2018, Chad met Lori Vallow at a religious conference in St. George, Utah. Less than a year later, in August 2019, Lori, her two kids, JJ and Tylee, Lori's brother Alex Cox, and her niece Melanie Boudreau moved to Rexburg, the general area where Chad and his family lived.
So after meeting Chad, she separates from her husband at the time, just so that she can be close to him.
Within a month of the move, both JJ and Tylee would go missing and wouldn't be seen alive ever again. On October 9th, 2019, Tammy Daybell calls 911 saying she was shot at with a paintball gun. An indictment states, quote, Alex Cox attempted to shoot Tammy on October 9th, 2019. Tammy is found dead 10 days later. At the time, the medical examiner ruled she died from natural causes. 3 weeks later, on November 5th, 2019, Chad
Right, just like Alex Cox died of natural causes. Seeing the pattern here?
and Lori married in Hawaii. Later that month, JJ's grandparents, Kay and Larry Woodcock, ordered a welfare check on JJ. They told police they hadn't seen or heard from him since September. Chad and Lori told police the kids were in Arizona with a family friend. But after a search of Lori's townhome, which they found empty, and a storage unit, police came up empty-handed.
Jesus.
On December 11th, 2019, Tammy's body is exhumed in Utah. During Lori's trial in 2023 in Ada County, the coroner testified Tammy died from asphyxiation. The day after her body was exhumed, Lori's brother, Alex, died, police say, from natural causes.
The number one suspect dies after his potential victim's body is dug up for an autopsy. How many of you out there think he actually died of natural causes? I don't. Not for a second.
In late December of 2019, Rexburg police asked for help finding JJ and Tylee. Days later, police say Chad and Lori are wanted for questioning. Then on January 3rd, 2020, police and the FBI searched Daybell's home. On January 25th, Lori, who was in Hawaii with Chad, received a court order to produce the kids within 5 days. She was eventually arrested in Hawaii and extradited back to Idaho. On June 9th, 2020, police found JJ and Tylee's bodies on Chad's property. That's when Lori called him from jail. The phone call was made public during Lori's trial.
No way. Hey, Misty.
What? Yeah, right.
Chad was arrested later that day and charged in connection to their deaths. He's been in jail ever since. In May of 2021, a grand jury indicted both Chad and Lori, and in August of that year, prosecutors filed to seek the death penalty against them.
Members of the grand jury deliberated and determined there is probable cause to believe the Daybells willfully and knowingly conspired to commit several crimes that led to the death of 3 innocent people.
The couple's case was eventually severed, and the death penalty was later removed for Lori. Their trials are moved to Ada County to find an impartial jury. In May of 2023, after a 6-week trial, Lori was eventually found guilty on all charges and sentenced to life in prison. In January of 2024, Chad's longtime attorney John Pryor asked to be removed from the case. Daybell could no longer afford his representation. The judge dismissed that motion, and Pryor will remain as Daybell's attorney throughout his trial. Last week, Daybell was taken to the Ada County Jail ahead of trial.
I mean, it's just none of this was necessary for them to accomplish anything. They could have just left and abandoned everybody, but instead they wanted to kill people that they quote unquote referred to as zombies. It's good to see you, GP.
Remains of Tylee Ryan on Chad Daybell's property in June of 2020.
And Chad Daybell is the man accused of murdering Tylee and her brother JJ. They were his wife, Lori Vallow, Daybell's children. And Chad is also on trial for allegedly murdering his first wife, Tammy.
Jurors heard from FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels. He led the evidence response team, which found JJ and Tylee's remains. His team processed the scene by setting up the perimeter and then excavating layer by layer to tell the story of how the children were buried. Daniels talked about how evidence led them to priority areas on Chad's property, including a text he sent about burying something in his pet cemetery. But before excavating, they didn't know those locations would be the burial sites.
You're right, Demar. I remember reading that.
Prior to arriving from our
Demart says death penalty was removed for Lori because prosecutors didn't turn over evidence in time. That's correct. And it almost happened in Koberger case. They were going to try to use the same law, case law, to get the death penalty thrown out in his case, but they were unsuccessful.
aerial images that we saw, like satellite imagery, this was the area of the fire pit. So we knew that was a priority area. We were going to look for Pet Cemetery, which we didn't know where it was on the property yet. And then we had some telephone ping information. One of those pings was in the area up here where I'm trying kind of circling. JJ's human remains end up being found where that orange rectangle is. And our Pet Cemetery ends up being found in this area right here. And that square.
So Tyree was buried here, and Tylee was buried here.
But
and
as they
buried
carefully
here.
dug, said that the team found pieces of bone and charred flesh, and then mounds of melted flesh in a green bucket. They also say they later determined that they found Tylee's skull at the bottom of that bucket. We only heard about how they found Tylee's remains today, though. Graphic photos of the remains were shown to the jurors, not the general public. But physical evidence like Tylee.
See, and with this case, it's very similar to the Delphi case. They didn't release the crime scene photos to the public. The judge ordered those to be sealed, and they were only shown to the jury during trial. So goal's not like up to something or anything. This is something very common.
Tylee's necklace and a pick and shovel from Chad's garage were brought into the courtroom today, and they were shown to the jury.
And earlier in the day, a Rexburg police detective wiped tears from his eyes at times.
Misty says, I wonder what else is buried in that pet cemetery. What about all the cemeteries that he's worked at his entire life? You know, that was his profession, was working at cemeteries. You know, how many people are buried under other people?
As he talked about his search for the missing kids. Detective David Stubbs told jurors about the search warrants they carried out at townhomes and on electronic devices belonging to people connected to the case. Stubbs did a welfare check at Lori's townhome in Rexburg, looking for JJ on November 26, 2019. His body camera video shows when officers went back to Lori,
That's the video
her
I showed you
brother,
guys.
and her niece's neighboring townhome the next day. They were vacant.
Detective, we just heard you say there was no clothing left in that closet, correct?
Yes.
Was that of note to you?
It was. It made me think that the occupants, because of our day visit before, left in haste.
Agent Daniels will be back on the stand Monday. Today in court, he said that they found JJ's body before recovering Tylee's remains. We expect jurors to learn how the ERT found.
All right, so this will be our 5-minute warning. I think I have maybe one more for you guys. I think it's this one here. Maybe two.
Doomsday predictions and 2 missing children spanning several states, including Arizona. And now the woman at the center of this investigation is back in Idaho facing charges.
No one has seen JJ and Tylee since September. And for months, investigators say Lori Vallow won't cooperate. Tomorrow, she will go before a judge.
Team 12's Erica Stapleton is in Rexburg, Idaho for us tonight. And Erica, what's happening there right now?
Hey guys, Lori Vallow is here.
Yeah, because of time, I think we can do without this one.
Daybell, dubbed the Doomsday Mom, is serving 3 consecutive life sentences for her role in the deaths of 2 of her children and her now husband's previous wife in Idaho. Now she faces trial in Arizona for conspiracy to murder her 4th husband, Charles Vallow. Teresa Schmidt talks with Vallow's family in Lake Charles.
I mean, there's absolutely no reason for them to kill Tammy or Charles. All they had to do was leave them, and the kids would have went with them. They could have gone off to start their cult or whatever, and they wouldn't have hurt anybody. I just don't understand why they did it. They did it because they were serial killers, and there's probably more victims out there, honestly.
On to Arizona, where Lori Vallow is to answer for the murder of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow. In 2019, Charles was shot to death by Lori's late brother, Alex, who claimed self-defense. Charles' brother-in-law, Larry Woodcock of Lake Charles, says it was murder.
It's a lie. Everything Lori does is a lie. It's
Manipulation.
Now the lie is, well, it wasn't me, it's Tylee.
Charles was the brother of...
The crazy thing about these types of criminals and the way they manipulate people is they can get you to feel sorry for them. Like, oh, I had a rough childhood, this, and that. They're able to warp your perception of them in real time to where you feel bad for them and you start siding with them. And that's how you get people who are supporting Richard Allen, Reese Davis, and criminals, because they put on this... they become this character and they're able to manipulate you. You guys need to be very careful of that.
Woodcock's wife, Kay, who is to be a witness in the trial.
Because if you can be manipulated, you can be used.
The conviction in Arizona is important to Kay and I. The conviction is some closure that Charles deserves. That Charles Vallow deserves. Charles is very well known in this town. Charles has got a ton of friends in this town. Charles was an outstanding baseball player. He went all the way up to the Astros.
Lori has asked for a hearing to see if she is mentally competent to stand trial, which means she can assist her attorney in her own defense. And she's asking to represent herself in Arizona.
Lori knows how to play the system. She's infamous for that.
Yeah, Boston, not just killers, like career criminals too.
And I think she's going to try the same thing here.
The judge is expected to wait for the results of the mental evaluation before deciding if Vallow can represent herself. Vallow's trial was expected to happen in February of next year, but that's now uncertain. Teresa Schmidt, 7 News.
Bell, dubbed the Doomsday Mom, is serving 3 consecutive...
All right, guys, looks like that's all my time. If you have any questions about the case, leave a comment. It is dinner time for me, so I do have to go. Thank you guys for joining me live. Big shout out to all of you who caught the live stream and participated in the chat. J. Ray, Boston Christian, D-Mart, Curious Contrarian, Mustang Misty, and everybody else that I missed. GP, good to see you. Leave me a comment. If you guys need to get a hold of me for whatever reason related to this case or unrelated, you guys can always shoot me an email at sleuthintuition@gmail.com. Big shout out to those of you who continue to support the channel, whether you are becoming a member with a subscription to the Sleuth Intuition channel, whether you're donating to the Cash App, the Zelle, the Venmo, or going to sleuthintuition.com and grabbing you some merch. Either way, big shout out to all of you, my subscribers, and you out there who continue to support the channel. Big thanks, big up to you, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.